I remember when I first got into bodybuilding, everyone was always talking about bulking and cutting. If you want to build muscle, you got to bulk up. And if you want a six pack, you got to cut down. So that's what I did. After my first bulk, I had gained 20 pounds, was feeling good about myself because I got a lot stronger. My pumps were good in the gym, my clothes were fitting better. And I thought, I can't wait to go on a cut, lose some body fat so I can show off this muscle I put on. Couple months into my cut, I realized that I was getting a lot weaker in the gym. My arms were like shrinking before my very eyes. At the end of my cut, I looked at myself in the mirror and thought, this is exactly what I looked like last year. I did this for 3 years in a row, each time at the end of my cut, realizing that I looked the same year to year. So in this video, I want to talk about if you should bulk, cut, or maintain. We have these questions of, should I bulk up first and then cut down later? Or should I cut down and then build a good foundation to then bulk up? Should I just maintain for the long term? All these questions, a bunch of misinformation online. I've been on my fitness journey for about 15 years, tried all sorts of diets, and I wanted to share some things that might help you avoid the mistakes that I made when bulking, cutting, or maintaining. So let's talk about bulking. What is bulking? How is it different than just gaining weight? Bulking is simply eating at a calorie surplus for an extended period of time for the purpose of gaining muscle. This is different than just gaining weight because weight gain can happen from muscle, but also fat, water, and glycogen. Why do people bulk? You get a surplus of energy, which means you have more energy in the gym to do more volume, more sets and reps. Your hormones are probably optimized, assuming that you're not eating a bunch of processed food. You're probably eating more frequently, which is good for muscle protein synthesis. So your muscle recovery is better. You fill out your clothes better and you have a better pump. So you get that instant feedback that what you're doing is working. So there are a lot of benefits to going on a bulk and building muscle. I do want to say this about bulking. There is a misconception that if you're on a bulk, it gives you the right to eat whatever you want. That's not true. Food quality does matter. I just went grocery shopping and this is exactly what I would eat regardless of if I'm bulking, cutting, or maintaining. The only difference is I eat more of it, whether it's bigger portions or more meals. The biggest problem with bulking is, again, gaining too much fat, and that often results from eating processed food, fast food, things that taste really good, but they are very calorically dense. Eating whole ingredients like this, it's hard to gain a significant amount of fat. So when people say that bulking is hard, the difficult part about it is eating food like this at a surplus as opposed to ice cream, pizza, burgers, and fried chicken. That stuff is easy to eat at a surplus. This is the hard part, but it's going to improve your gym performance, your hormone levels, overall how you feel throughout the day. What about cutting? How is it different than losing weight, and why do people go on a cut? Cutting is eating at a calorie deficit over a period of time for the purpose of losing body fat. This is different than just losing weight because weight loss can happen from not just losing fat, but also losing muscle and water. The reason why people go on a cut is to reveal the muscle gains that they had put on. Your muscles are covered by a layer of fat. So losing excess body fat will reveal the cuts and separations between your muscles. Of course, if you want a six pack before you go on holiday or vacation, going on a cut will help you achieve that. Beyond just appearances, however, if you lose excess fat and you're overweight, it's going to improve your health. It reduces the load on your joints and tendons. It reduces your blood pressure and your cholesterol, overall giving you more energy and improving self-confidence. Your body is a fat storing machine. I believe in God, but I also believe in science. I believe that humans have evolved to eat like feast or famine. We would go a long time without eating. We would come across a bunch of food. We would eat as much of it as possible, but then our bodies have learned how to store this energy to use later. The best way I can describe this is imagine you have a $100,000 sports car, one of those Porsche 911s. Greatest car of all time. Beautiful, kind of unnecessary, but very nice to have. This is like your muscle. Let's say that you lose your job. So you don't have any money coming in. Money coming in is like calories coming in. You do have a little bit of money saved up, which is your body fat. For a while, you can live off your savings, but if you don't have any other source of income, eventually you're going to have to sell that car. And when you do sell the car, you're not going to just spend all that money right away because you know that you have to live off this savings for a while. I think our bodies do exactly the same thing when it comes to losing muscle and storing body fat when we're in a prolonged calorie deficit. Because your body actually thinks, I'm not going to get any money coming in. So, what I have to do is get rid of this muscle and store it as energy later to survive. And that's why there's this constant tug of war of your body wants to get rid of muscle, it wants to hold on to fat. But if you want to do the opposite of get rid of fat and hold on to muscle, you actually need to be very tactful with how you take in calories, the food quality, as well as how quickly you try to lose body fat. The faster you try to lose weight, the more likely it is that that weight is going to be muscle. So the best way to do this is to cut very slowly over a longer period of time, which means your caloric deficit should be smaller. Rather than going like keto or I'm just going to skip meals, I'm going to do intermittent fasting. These fad diets often result in you losing more muscle than necessary. Rather than doing that, just shift your macros around a little bit. So if you're eating 50% carbs, 30% protein, 20% fat, try doing 40% carbs, 40% protein, 20% fat. Rather than skipping half of your day of meals, just try eating a little bit less at each meal. And then rather than eating carbs at night, which is what I do since I'm bulking, take carbs away at night and then eat more carbs pre and post workout. Maintaining is when calories in equals calories out, which means that the number on the scale should not change over a period of time. But even though the number on the scale doesn't change, your body composition will. So the muscle to fat ratio will change, which means you'll see results. They just might happen a little bit more slowly. The reason why I don't think a lot of people like to maintain is because we don't have the patience. I'm just going to be honest. This is why I still do like bulk and cuts, is because although the idea of maintaining sounds nice, practically speaking, it's hard to see results, especially if you've already hit your genetic potential, just maintaining. Like the reality of just gaining 1 pound of muscle every 5 months, although a lot of that 1 pound is going to be muscle, the results just happen way too slow. So that's why I think a lot of people kind of go to bulking and cutting, is because they can see instant results and see that what they're doing is working. You could argue that maintaining is the best long-term strategy because you don't have to deal with the rebound of getting too fat on a bulk, so you have to cut down, or losing too much muscle on a cut, so you then have to bulk up later. It's very simple to just keep things in the middle and sort of stay within striking distance. If you're new to all of this, I wouldn't even worry about bulking and cutting, just eat at maintenance. So you don't want to overcomplicate things, but if you've been doing this for like 5 to 10 years and you're already past that initial set of gains, the only way to see progress at this point is to eat at a surplus or a deficit. Secondly, what is your ultimate goal compared to where you are right now? If 10 years from now you want to be leaner than you are right now, it wouldn't make sense to bulk because eventually you're going to have to cut. Do you want to be athletic, more lean, and you don't really care about big muscles? Then you probably don't want to go on a prolonged bulk because that's counter to your ultimate goal. Whereas if you just want to get big and strong and you don't really care about having a healthy amount of body fat, then going on a cut might not make sense because you're just going to have to gain weight later. I hope that helps. Thank you for watching, and I will see you on the next one.